Week 3 previews here on the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel. The next previews for an NFC North matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. This game will be played in Detroit, and both teams coming with a record of 1-1. The Packers holding off the Jets last week, 31-24 in Lambeau. And you had the Lions, of course, a big win in Week 1 at home against the Giants, and a disappointing performance, I thought, on the road last week in Carolina, but against a good defense in Carolina, so not totally unexpected. The Lions, which team are they? The team we saw in Week 1 that didn't turn the ball over, that defense was opportunistic, or the team in Week 2 that sort of looked like the old Lions? I think we'll see this week. I think it's a good matchup for them in some instances. Obviously, like every week, there's no one that can cover Calvin Johnson on the opposing team. Not Sam Shields, certainly not Tramon Williams. But can another player step up opposite him and put up some numbers? They did in Week 1, all right? How does Golden Tate come out and play this week? Reggie Bush out of the backfield will be key to watch, especially against these Packers linebackers who sometimes can have trouble versus tight ends and faster running backs out of the backfield. When you look at the Detroit defense, can they take advantage of a banged-up Packers offensive line? The Jets were at times able to do that last week. Can Detroit come in with a sense of urgency, division game, and get after the quarterback? Because, I think while I said no one can guard Calvin Johnson on the Packers, I certainly think that Detroit secondary, which I still think is the weakness of their team, can they cover the plethora of receivers that Aaron Rodgers has? And, of course, whenever you talk about these two teams, you have to mention the quarterbacks. Stafford put up huge numbers in Week 1, almost threw for 300 yards last week, but not as efficient as he was in Week 1. At home, I always expect Matt Stafford to play better than he does on the road. It just seems to bear itself out that way. Can he limit the turnovers? Obviously, always a huge issue for him, and something that I think as one of the things that's going to hold this team hostage until he develops consistency in that area. You look at the Packers. Look, they have to get the running game going. To me, they have to get Eddie Lacy going early to try to curtail that pass rush of the Lions. If the Lions are able to get the Packers to be predictable into predictable down and distances where they pretty much know they're going to pass, I think that's the only way the Packers can have trouble in this one. Lacy's had a very slow first 2 weeks, but he might have played against the best two rushing defenses in the NFL the first 2 weeks, to be fair. So I expect an emphasis to get Eddie Lacy the football early and often to free Rodgers up to do what he does, all right, hitting his receivers out on the outside, something he may be the best in the NFL at doing, certainly. I think these two teams, when you're talking about playing at Detroit, and you talk about, to me, the struggles of that Green Bay offensive line, I think these two teams are pretty close to even in this one. All right, it's just a matter. It comes to you're really splitting hairs when you're trying to predict a game like this. In my mind, again, predominantly because the game is at Detroit and because of the injuries for the Packers. In this one, I like Aaron Rodgers, though, and I like the Packers. I think they get the running game going early behind Eddie Lacy. You're getting points in this one, so I like the Packers plus 2.5 as well. I like the Packers to win the game outright, obviously, too. And, again, the consistency of Matt Stafford. He could come out. It wouldn't surprise me if he went for 375, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. But also wouldn't surprise me, if he fumbled the ball and threw an interception as well. So I'm going to go with the more consistent quarterback and offense as I see it in the Packers. Guys, let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks as always for listening, and enjoy Week 3.